I was thinking, there's a lot of germs flying
Yeah, Mom has a stupid idea about working.
That's enough. You boys heard your mother. We have always said you have to concentrate on your schoolwork before wasting your time on dead-end jobs. You have got your whole life to work and only one chance to learn.
I told them to get jobs, Hal.
The value of hard work. Money doesn't grow on trees. The sooner you two kids have jobs, the better.
Like many, for the past couple of months, I've had a lot to deal with. Between work, family, and norovirus, just getting through the day is an accomplishment. I'll get back to that later, but all this culminated in burnout. In Season 5 of Better Call Saul, Kim Wexler shows how the process of burnout gradually builds until it doesn't just affect her work, it also affects her health when she falls asleep at the wheel, resulting in an accident. This then fed into Season 6 of showing the aftermath of how burnout impacted Kim's life. For those of us who grew up in poverty, we are acutely aware that vacation means something very different than it does for those who are wealthy. Vacation requires access to time and money. It's hardly a surprise that working your wage, poorly named as quiet quitting, has increased. Working without a break can result in disastrous effects, particularly for those with less resources. It affects workers' health and, in turn, the economy. Feel free to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and with Mothra the Bunny of Data Science, let's discuss the malignant effects of burnout. According to the Mayo Clinic, quote, job burnout is a type of stress linked to work. It includes being worn out physically or emotionally. Job burnout may also involve feeling useless, powerless, and empty. Burnout isn't a medical diagnosis. Some experts think that other conditions, such as depression, are behind burnout. Burnout can raise the risk of depression. But depression and burnout are different, and they need different treatments. Certain personality traits may affect the risk of burnout. Other factors, such as past work experiences, can also affect burnout risk. That helps explain why if two people are dealing with the same job issues, one might have job burnout while the other does not. Whatever the cause, job burnout can affect your physical and mental health, end quote. It may not be a medical diagnosis, but it affects our health. During the financial crisis in 2008, when the U.S. government bailed out large banks, many people were struggling to find full-time work, much less full-time work with benefits like health insurance and paid time off. New college graduates, such as myself, would often work multiple part-time jobs just to get by. Juggling multiple schedules for low pay left many disillusioned and burnt out. We weren't trying to get six-figure salaries where we could get away with working an hour a day. We were struggling to cover basic necessities, and if you were able to get insurance or paid time off, you were lucky. This recession impacted the job market to the point where some of the lingering effects still reverberate into the current generation.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Don't care?
It's a problem of motivation, all right? Now, if I work my ass off and Initech ships a few extra units, I don't see another dime. So where's the motivation?
Meanwhile, investors were still digesting news that Wells Fargo has agreed to buy Wachovia in a $15.1 billion deal that will not require help from the FDIC, days after Citigroup reached its own deal to acquire Wachovia. Investors are also contending with the September unemployment report that showed payroll shrank by 159,000, far higher than the 100,000 economists predicted.
In looking at social media, the complaints of trying to find work sound eerily similar to the 2008 recession. Posting for jobs often omit the pay or list a wide range for the salary. Companies that aren't actually hiring will list fictitious positions. Jobs listed as entry-level aren't entry-level. The new development for 2024 is that jobs listed as being fully remote are not actually remote at all, or they try to sneak in hybrid. And yet again, the pay advertised is overstated when the job offer does come. In 2008, when workers were scrambling to find employment, companies realized that the scales tipped in their favor. Now they could pay the same or less but add more requirements. As it is currently, jobs that have lower pay combined with higher requirements are now sitting vacant for long periods of time. For example, job listings for positions in government will have a laundry list of non-negotiables depending on the department, bureau, and job. Part of this is due to the way that funding for grants are written, where there is rarely room for compromise or they may lose that money. Changing this would require rewriting grants and talking to those who make the decisions on these grants. As of today, this has not changed much. In 2008, those new to the workforce struggled to get their foot in the door since those with experience were willing to take a job at a lower pay. With the global events of 2020, workers would be laid off or unemployed while others started to get creative by working multiple jobs. Not to mention, those who haven't recovered from the intensity of education or complex training may not have much of a break before needing to find employment that pays enough to cover their needs. As far as burnout in education, this is discussed in my video on the pressure to succeed, so I won't focus on it too much here.
I hate you. Sue Ellen, start getting updated reports from the department heads and coordinating them. You can access the format on the C drive. Until you lay it out on a spreadsheet, the market analysis is too amorphous, right? This is the QED report. I've made some notes in it. See if you can make a dent after lunch. Oh, and fax this to New York for me. Don't feel overwhelmed. Just do one thing at a time.
Another holdover from 2008 is that these same companies started to cut out training, and I'm unable to find larger companies that have started to bring back quality training after it was eliminated. With a more experienced workforce, they wouldn't need this, right? In Orange is the New Black, by season 3, the prison has been purchased by a large private company, only concerned with spending as little as possible. The man in charge of running the prison, Caputo, is then surprised to learn that not only has training been reduced from weeks to a matter of hours, but that this company believes that handing a thick training manual to these new guards will be sufficient. Being a guard is not the type of job where being handed a manual or completing some online training will ever be sufficient. In my state, when they were trying to eliminate jobs to save money in order to adjust to budget cuts in 2008, the trainers were the first to go. When they were still there, the trainers would meet with new workers and walk through basic processes and demonstrate how to use the programs throughout the various agencies. Why have employees with experience to prepare new workers when that can be offloaded to the managers of the respective departments? At first, this wasn't an issue, but as more tasks were delegated to supervisors and remaining workers, the training for new employees suffered. The reason that managers, section directors, and other workers started to take on more work duties is because several of the positions in their bureau would be redlined. These were still tasks that needed to be completed, but with a staff cut to a third of what it had originally been, everyone's workload increased. Training new employees wasn't seen as a priority. In my case, my first manager was more proactive, and by that I mean the previous employee had left a skeleton outline of what the job entailed, and sometimes if I had a question, I could go to my supervisor. I can't imagine how those thrown in without any information functioned.
This will verify your ability to stay afloat at high speeds.
I included the decrease of quality training because this is one of the factors that contributes to employee burnout. A new employee with little to no information, yet expected to successfully complete job tasks soon after starting, indicates that the employer views them as easily replaceable minions. The sink-or-swim method often sets up employees to fail, creates a negative environment, and increases existing tension. In my state, employees are hired at will, meaning they can be fired at any time or nearly for any reason. In reality, employers will fire someone for any reason but attribute it to a legal reason, as most of us don't have the resources to fight these companies. With this in the back of our minds, if we are not trained properly while being harshly punished for mistakes, the constant threat of losing employment adds stress. In Lindsay Kohler's 2024 article from Forbes, quote, "Stress levels in 2021 were even higher than in 2020 when they reached a previous all-time high." The report found with 44% of employees claiming to have experienced a lot of daily stress the previous day, end quote. Lack of training and at-will employment will not lower these statistics. Additionally, Jilly Malinsky's 2022 article says, quote, "Most countries in the world do not have an at-will employment system. When it comes to a lot of countries in the OECD, for example, there's a lot more steps that an employer would need to go through to let a worker go," says Annalise Goger, a fellow at the Brookings Institution, end quote. Being able to address issues with burnout is a luxury for those in the lower socioeconomic levels. Paid time off is a premium, so it's not uncommon to just keep going because, well, we need to eat and the rent has to be paid somehow. It can leave workers feeling drained, irritable, angry, and impatient. When it continues, it leaves us more vulnerable to getting sick, losing sleep, or lifelong conditions such as heart disease, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. Burnout leaves us more susceptible to illness, and that illness can end up affecting other people. When workers are unable to skip work due to illness, it will take them longer to recover. It also means that they are in an environment that will cause it to spread, affecting the workforce or in some cases contaminating products that may go out to the public. When workers are demonized for taking time off to recover but attend work while contagious, it makes it to where now we're not just dealing with a small blip in productivity, but a much larger one and one that could potentially affect the view and integrity of the company.
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu.
I've been working with a shattered pelvis for 3 weeks.
Oh, my juice loosener's never gonna come.
Hey, Dad, this came for you in the mail.
In recent articles and posts online, Amazon is no longer able to fulfill the 2-day shipping for Prime members, and the company has started to contract out more of the delivery positions. With less workers at Amazon as delivery drivers, it often gets contracted out to a third party in some cases. There is even an entire subreddit dedicated to Amazon delivery issues alone. To add to that, there's only so many people available to work. When people are let go or fired and unable to be hired again by the same company, the pool of available workers depletes to a point of unsustainability, especially in more rural areas. By constantly pushing workers to the brink of burnout, there will be none left to maintain the capitalist system in place. Pushing workers to burnout has both short-term and long-term negative effects. It doesn't even have to be an illness. Exhaustion is related to burnout. Lack of sleep or inadequate nutrition increases the likelihood of injury and OSHA violations. The pervasive puritanical belief of capitalism perpetuated to employees that taking time to rest and recover is lazy benefits those at the top of the socioeconomic ladder. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 3 adults are not getting adequate sleep. Lack of sleep doesn't just affect one's physical, mental, and emotional health. From the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute in 2022, quote, "Sleep deficiency can interfere with work, school, driving, and social functioning. You might have trouble learning, focusing, and reacting. Also, you might find it hard to judge other people's emotions and reactions. Sleep deficiency also can make you feel frustrated, cranky, or worried in social situations. Sleep deficiency is also linked to a higher chance of injury in adults, teens, and children. For example, sleepiness while driving, not related to alcohol, is responsible for serious car crash injuries and unaliving. In older adults, sleep deficiency may be linked to a higher chance of falls and broken bones. Sleep deficiency has also played a role in human mistakes linked to tragic accidents, such as nuclear reactor meltdowns, grounding of large ships, and plane crashes. A common myth is that people can learn to get by on little sleep with no negative effects. However, research shows that getting enough quality sleep at the right times is vital for mental health, physical health, quality of life, and safety." End quote. Mistakes from exhaustion or burnout might be delivering a package to the wrong address. While this can be easily corrected, there are those who receive medication by mail and a late delivery will cause issues. Overworked, exhausted employees may not be able to fully complete quality checks on food, resulting in an outbreak of Salmonella or E. coli. A fast food employee on their third 12-hour shift this week might forget to wash their hands and grab a new spatula after picking up the one that dropped on the floor. These mistakes can be costly and it's not sustainable.
Time to share a few words of sarcasm with whoever it is that took this pen. I want to say thank you for doing this to me. For a while, I thought I'd have to suffer through a puppy parade, but I much prefer being entombed alive in a mausoleum of feelings I can neither understand nor reciprocate. So, whoever you are, can I give you anything? Ice cream, best friend medal, anything? Okay. Sarcasm over. You're last up, Shirley. Dump your comedically huge bag and end this.
The reason this video is focused on burnout is that for the last few months, I've been unable to put much effort towards a social media presence at all. Part of this is work, part of it is just life in general, and part of it is autistic burnout. Quite a few things have happened in this time. On New Year's Day, I had to put down one of my cats after 16 years. It hit me hard, and the grief was difficult to handle amid returning to work after the stressful holiday season. As I've gained more knowledge regarding my diagnosis, I've learned how to handle daily activities better, but it's still a process. Even though I work remotely instead of in an office, masking is still strenuous. On one hand, I don't have to put much thought into what I'll wear for the day. However, I'm hyper-aware of my volume and tone when I speak in meetings. In previous jobs, when the stress built up too much, I had to consider whether to take the day off because I didn't have paid leave. It wasn't until my last 2 jobs that I was fortunate enough to have paid time off. For those times when I could not afford to lose the pay, my health would break down more. I had difficulty sleeping, I certainly did not eat well, I was irritable, and my work was not as precise. The struggle to fight through intense exhaustion in order to make it through the day was intense. This cycle resulted in horrible breakdowns and panic attacks where a day or 2 of recovery is just not enough. The slight reprieve allowed a short time to pick myself up again until the next time it occurred. Presently, I work on taking time off more often so that my physical and mental self can reset. In doing so, my breakdowns are less frequent and less severe. My panic attacks went from about 1 every 2 months to less than 1 a year, the last one being roughly 2 years ago. While my situation has been positive in recent years, that is not the case for many in the U.S. As knowledge of neurodivergent conditions increases, so will the number of adults with a diagnosis. I point out autism and neurodivergent diagnoses specifically because those who fall in this category are far more likely to be unemployed or underemployed. Depending on the source and data analyzed, the percentage of autistic adults who are unemployed wavers around 20%. Even if they complete a degree in higher education, it's not a guarantee of employment. This means access to needed resources is lacking. Lack of access to resources and information means more burnout, more exhaustion, more issues with work. Those who are able to navigate the job application process to employment are aware that it's just the tip of the iceberg. The traditional work environment is littered with pitfalls that can negatively affect neurodivergent employees, such as the type of lighting, ambient noise, type of communication, the treatment from those around them, and various smells. At one of my previous office jobs, my cubicle was unfortunately next to the microwave used by about 80 people. I tried various headphones but was unable to cover up the constant beeping and chatter from employees all day. It was distracting, and when this was combined with the mixture of smells, it made completing work tasks extremely draining. Due to a lack of space and not wanting my employer to be aware of the fact that I was autistic because of retaliation, I was not able to switch to a different workstation. Now imagine you're a smaller creator on a particular app and you're trying to work to monetize content because of the time, energy, and resources needed to create output. If a particular topic is popular, it makes sense to try and add to the conversation in a timely manner in order to remain within the algorithm. Creators that have over 1 million subscribers often have a staff or editors that can help, but until you reach that point, you're putting labor and effort into a corporation that doesn't value your efforts yet profits from it. It can be difficult to determine what will go viral. In an environment with an abundance of content creators, competition is fierce, not just because there are other creators, but also because these platforms make it difficult for newer creators or those with a smaller audience to grow. If you are a smaller creator that has a video go viral, you want to keep that momentum up because it's so easy to fall out of the algorithm. It's easier for large creators to work around these issues by having Patreons, channel memberships, and sponsors. I'm not saying that it should be extremely easy to get monetization, but prior to the 2016 adpocalypse, a creator would be able to at least pay their bills without needing a huge number of views and subscribers. A channel with 40,000 subscribers could put out weekly videos and at least be able to pay rent and afford food without overworking themselves. Monetization on apps varies, but a creator shouldn't feel that they have to put out multiple videos a week or in a day and hope that nothing is flagged or shadow banned in order to be able to survive.
Take him away! You can't treat the working man this way. One day we'll form a union and get the fair and equitable treatment we deserve. Then we'll go too far and get corrupt and shiftless. And the Japanese will eat us alive.
The Japanese? Those sandal-wearing goldfish tenders? Bosh, flimshot!
But let's say you're putting in the effort and finally make a video only for the video to be marked ineligible for monetization or not available in all countries due to a 20-second clip in it. Even if you argue it falls under fair use, it can still be rejected if you decide to challenge it. So it remains ineligible for monetization, your efforts exploited by a corporation that got your work for free. For example, there are multiple creators that discuss the TLC show Sister Wives and include clips from the show in their discussions. Until recently, when popularity soared, there wasn't an issue with demonetization or videos not being publicly available. Once interest in the show peaked, TLC started making clips unavailable to be used for commentary and negatively impacted income for those content creators. When a video is demonetized, it affects where it will fall in the algorithm and decreases how many viewers will see it. Part of the reason that people were even starting to watch Sister Wives again was due to these same creators discussing it. Taking away the ability to use clips isn't going to push people to pay for the streaming service, and the companies don't seem to understand this. This doesn't mean that every channel or video uploaded deserves to be monetized or that they are of a particular quality. But if the person that created it doesn't receive compensation, then there is a discussion to be had about whether or not the platform should receive compensation either. It's difficult to consistently load movie reviews if I can't use video, audio, or sound without it being flagged for copyright or demonetization. There are several movie and TV clips that would enhance the essays on this channel, but I am unable to include them because it would cause the video to be flagged or blocked. I have no expectation that this channel will be monetized. My goal is to try and improve the videos that I upload. More importantly though, it's important to discuss topics like toxic positivity and how the poor are consistently screwed over. If that means more Simpsons or South Park clips, I guess that is where I'm at.
Oh, awesome! Soon all people will have to live like moles. They will live only to remember with sorrow how great the sun used to be.
Cool, it'll be just like on The Simpsons.
Huh?
They did that on The Simpsons. I think it was the Mr. Burns character. He tried to block Springfield from the sun.
He did? Oh, heck, I thought I was being original.
Employee burnout can be reduced by offering a living wage, increasing access to resources, improving healthcare, improving training, offering and encouraging use of paid time off, among other possible options. Hoarding resources among a select few will not improve the economy or increase the quality of life for most of us in the U.S. Until changes are made, burnout will continue to affect employers, employees, and everyone in between. Thanks for making it this far. Until next time.
Why don't you tell us in your own words what kind of an employee you were?
Marginal. At best. I was a crappy employee.
And yet countless eyewitnesses paint you as a man at the center of an ingenious conspiracy.
Every date on the board is a Friday.
I'm sorry, I don't understand why that would be so important.
I haven't shown up for work on a Friday in 15 years.
Come on back and see me again for some more fun learning. And remember, treat other people the way you want to be treated, okay? I've got to go now. So long!